Hello, everyone, and welcome. The NFL season is here. 24 hours from now, we'll be kicking off on the 2025 NFL season. So come celebrate with us here on this episode of the Dynasty Six Pack. Hello, and welcome to episode 27 of Dynasty Six Pack. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle Senra. Joining me are my two co-hosts. We have Rahul Natarajan. How are you doing, Rahul?
Doing well, Kyle. Good to see you. Good to see Jamie as well. We sit here on the eve of week one of the 2025, I guess the NFL season, but really I want to say the fantasy football season. That's because that's what we're all here for. I'm just waiting, to look at my sleeper app and see like, hey, it doesn't say 0.0 anymore, and they're actually points accumulating. It's gonna be quite a moment. But yeah, guys, I'm very excited. Glad we've had a lot of great shows all off season. We're a dynasty focused show, and I think we're gonna bring a lot of interesting themes as we get into the regular season. And man, I just can't wait for all to kick off.
Yeah, can't wait. The excitement's building up, and we can't wait to get to our other co-host, Jamie Perog, who we sort of contractually obligated to get to by this point. So hello, Jamie. Welcome.
What is up, man? Let's go. I'm excited. Draft season is done. Rosters are locked, and football finally back, man. So let's start this off. Like, time to start dominating.
Yeah, and the best way to help you dominate is fantasy6pack.net. And there's tons of great free content, great articles. There's certain channels in the Discord that you can access through free membership, through a free subscription. But there's also the all access membership that gets you, it's a paid content subscription. Tons of premium content, especially in season for betting, DFS, all sorts of advanced cheat sheets as well. The Fantasy Six Pack all access membership, it's well worth the price. But even at that price, that's well worth it. There's still a reduction with the promo code F6PPods. That gets you a 15% discount. So F6PPODS. All letters capitalized. And that's the 6 Arabic numeral.
There we go.
Episode 27. And I guess you could spell it either way, Roman or Arabic. But so today we're going to prepare everyone for the NFL season. Once we get to the rhythm of games being played, we'll kind of have a specific format to follow. But Rahul, you had a few suggestions of topics to make just for our final episode. We did our buy sells last week. Hope everyone's made those dynasty roster moves and are here to dominate with those plays. But so a few things you want to talk about this week.
Yeah, I think we've got some great topics for the listeners and for us to really just run by each other, just how we pick some of these players. So the first topic I had, I'm just going by the show sheet order itself. So, that's on me if I mess this up, but players outside the top 100 assets on Keep Trade Cut. I mean, I'm sure it'll be similar across a lot of platforms. The players outside the top 100 that could make a jump into the top 50 assets. As you kind of preview or mentioned last week's episode, buy and sell, I'm like, did I duplicate this a little bit too much? But I think there's a lot to unpack in the types of profiles that could make that insane value jump, especially when you get, below, 101 and onwards. That's like players you could probably buy with a second, sometimes even a third in a lot of leagues. And I think there's a lot of value to get in there. So I'm really excited to hear the guys y'all have chosen for this.
Yeah, and we're excited to hear from folks listening as well. So you can head over to the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. Join us. We're live. We're going to be now every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can interact with us there. There's the Facebook page as well. Leave your comments and let us know which players that you think are outside the top 100 in Dynasty rankings that you think could jump into the top 50. And we're going to definitely start here. Jamie, I'm going to let you go first. Your player that you think will make the jump, I'm going to run right to you with Justin Fields.
Yeah, so Justin Fields right now, he's sitting at 107th overall, QB 25. That's right below that early 2026 second rounder. Meanwhile, you also have guys ahead of him. For example, Tyreek Hill, Alvin Kamara, Mike Evans, Derrick Henry, CMC. They're all going to be dropping next season due to just age alone, right? So that'll also help Fields raise up a little bit by default. But here's the thing. Fields has top 5 weekly upside. Even with a couple rough games, he's going to average out to a top 12 fantasy quarterback this year. So looking ahead, expect one or two things: a contract extension with the Jets, or Fields finds a new team as a starter. Either way, his fantasy value will spike. At worst, he'll be in that top 15 area quarterback in fantasy. So just like when Jackson Dart is finally a full-time starter, expect Fields to be in that range of outcomes. So bottom line, Fields isn't QB 25. He can't be. He will be top 12 or at least top 15. He has weekly breakout upside potential, and that's got to put him somewhere in that top 50 overall range. So if you sleep on him now, you're going to regret it.
Yeah, I think again for the jump in value, I think when he's on the field, the fantasy points will be there. Just like Joe Bond is here. Welcome, the boss, the founder of Fantasy Six Pack, who makes all this possible. Joe is probably just as excited as we are that week 1 is here. But yeah, I think certainly we're excited at the chance of Fields playing and scoring fantasy points. But again, it's for the dynasty value. It seems like that long-term contract really is what's needed, because Jamie, like you mentioned, okay, if he goes to another team with maybe a better infrastructure, better fantasy situation, that helps him. But if it's just on another 1 year, short 2-year contract, it's not this big mega contract. I wonder if the sentiment stays the same. So, and if he plays well enough to earn that big contract, you feel like there's no way the Jets are going to let him go. So, I tend to think it's for his value. We really want it to be the Jets. The Jets think he's that good that they cannot let him go now that he's in the building. I think that's because if any other scenario where they're choosing to let him go, I don't know that anyone else is really throwing the bag at him. You know, they're someone trades for him, right? Like they're not just going to let him walk in free agent. I mean, he's still under contract next year anyway. Right? I think he plays so poorly they cut him. No one else is going to really. So I really think we're banking on the Jets. He signs that extension with the Jets. Albert's joining us as well, saying hello. Rahul, is there anything you want to say about Justin Fields?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys covered a lot of it. I just pulling up the Justin Fields contract here on the side, and it's kind of the way the money goes. I can't see a way that he's not on the team in 2026. They only save $1 million from cutting him. My biggest struggle with this one, especially when we were talking about top 50, and I know, like, as you know, perhaps gamers get a little bit smarter about how to play Superflex Dynasty, we see a lot more quarterbacks in the top 50. I want to even say there are like 18 quarterbacks in the top 50, just like Baker Mayfield probably being like the last one there. And just where my hesitation is, like, all those quarterbacks that sit in the top 50, there is like kind of that understanding, like, all right, you're going to be good for this year plus X 1 to 2 years in the future, and that like props up their dynasty value. And that's my only thing with Justin Fields. I know I said that thing about the contract. He's probably going to be on the Jets, but in terms of perception, are your league mates also going to believe that he commands that kind of value that like long-term stability offers him? You know, at the running back position, we're sometimes comfortable putting like 1 year bets, man. Actually, even in the top 50, like Kyron Williams is RB50 now, and he had just got a contract. Like maybe at some other positions we're a little more comfortable.
50th overall, right? Not RB50.
50th overall.
Maybe in Jamie's rankings, maybe that's where he would be, right? Jamie.
Yeah, it's just Justin Fields is the tough one to I know Kyler Murray has had a lot of discussion on the Dynasty Six Pack. Kyler Murray is QB 18, 57th. overall, and that's one where like fans are starting to be like, is this guy like actually a long-term starter? We don't know, like the future's clouded. There is some contract security. I could see that kind of
Yeah,
pathway.
exactly.
Yeah, for Justin
He is one
Fields.
of the guys with the big mega contracts. Like it feels like Kyler's not gonna. One perception I have about Kyler, if he leaves the Cardinals, like the Jets would jump at the chance to probably get him and
Yeah.
move on from Fields, right? Like it feels like Kyler's earned a level of he's just gonna keep starting for as long as he can. It'll be like Kirk Cousins, right? Like it takes a team taking a quarterback in the top 10 of the draft. And
Yeah.
you're 35 before you finally don't have a starting job anymore. It'll probably be a while for Kyler. Whereas Fields, I love him. I really like Fields, and I would love nothing else but to be all the people who've hated on him forever to be proven wrong. But I don't know. It's because I'm wondering like what to do investment wise. Like, let's be actionable
Yeah.
now. If you don't have Justin Fields on your team, like Jamie, are you saying go buy Justin Fields to hope that you can buy him this year to sell him at a profit next year? Is that what your plan is?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get him for a second round pick right now, go ahead. I'm not selling him for a second.
What if it costs a first?
If it's a first and you're competing, yeah, because that's an end of the round first. So for example, I did a startup this year, and Justin Fields went 2 picks ahead of me, and then I went with Cam Ward, even though I had 2 quarterbacks already. I just couldn't pass up the value. Cam Ward was 102, 103 in Superflex, so that means someone values him more than the 102, 103. It all depends on the person. And remember, this is a bold prediction show. This isn't an easy take show. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's a possibility it could.
I think this is one where like it could really pay off to be like in tune with what's actually going on the field. Like if your Fields manager, don't be content just like looking at the box score, like oh yeah, Fields got 24 points this week means everything's a-okay. Like try to keep your ear to the ground with like actually how like the offense is performing. Like is it running well? Like are they taking like a lot of sacks? I think Fields' biggest concern from an NFL point of view is like number of drive killing plays that he has. So I definitely see that investment opportunity, whether it's an early second, mid-season. He has a couple of boom games. You can definitely flip him if your team build allows for that. But like, be on the lookout. Like, hey, is he actually playing good NFL level football? I think it's very important to have a handle on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to make? Go ahead, Jamie.
Give an example. Like every league that I draft Fields in, I always draft a backup. Even in single quarterback leagues, if I get him in the 11th round in a single quarterback league, I took Trevor Lawrence 2 rounds later, just for that insurance. And looking at week 1, I'm starting Trevor Lawrence over Fields just because I don't trust him yet. I want to see it before I believe it.
So, you talk about predictions. He plays the Steelers week 1. So Justin Fields played against the Steelers week 1. I have a feeling that's probably not going to go so well for him. This is a defense. They all got to see him last year, all throughout the training camp, right? So this defense probably knows how to handle Justin Fields pretty well. So I'm not ranking him very highly in week 1. So with maybe let's say a bad fantasy performance and a bad maybe real life performance against the Steelers, is the buy opportunity actually after week 1? After the Steelers game, is that where you buy anywhere you can for a second? And as you said, Rahul, the box score starts to fill and those better fantasy performances come this year. Is the sell window actually this year? You maybe don't even have to wait for that contract extension. So maybe that's the actionable take.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
It's a double revenge game with Rodgers and Fields.
Oh yeah, whoa. They have the Buffalo Bills in week 2. And the Bills defense was a little better than people expected. Maybe not the best defense. High scoring game. That's a tough evaluation, but I completely agree with the thinking. Like, as this a big upside kind of swing.
Well, let's move on now. Rahul, your player is Cam Skattebo.
Yeah. So I'm going Cam Skattebo, who's currently ranked as RB28, 121st overall on Keep Take Cuts Superflex rankings. a rookie running back coming out this year, known beyond the fantasy spaces because of his exploits for Arizona State, especially in the college football playoffs. He really was that offense running in those big games. And I think I just see a lot of upside in his value just because he has that bell cow prospect profile. In recent years, as the NFL has, moved more into split backfields, and we see lighter backs come out, your average bell cow is probably, your average RB1, I should say, is probably averaging like a 65-70% snap share, touch share, whatever you have it, with a very few elite backs that get into like the 80-85% plus range. Cam Skattebo to me has the build, quite literally, but also the the intangibles to be that like 80-85% snap share guy. And the simplistic one, he's a big boy. He should monopolize the goal line. I think even later this season, his offseason was a little bit hampered by a hamstring injury, but he's healthy and ready to play. I think as we get into the latter half of the season, I would expect him to be the primary back on the goal line. I was a little surprised when I was doing a research for the show that he's actually only 219, but he's a big 219 because he's also only 5'9". That's a compact frame, right? He kind of just looks like a bowling ball. He's almost like a Josh Jacobs type build. Probably he was best advised not to run the 40, because as soon as you see like a 4.7 or slower, that's when the alarm bells start to go off. But smartly, he did not run that 40, and there was some. I think in his pro day he ran a 4.58. That's in quotes, but he's a big boy. Is the point that I want to make, and that like aligns itself with I think some of the weaknesses of Tyrone Tracy, who he has 10 plus pounds on. Tyrone Tracy, a converted wide receiver, he has fumble issues, drop issues. He's not very good at pass protection. It's not like Cam Skattebo's coming out of college as like a number one pass pro back in this class. He actually has some room to improve, but I think his build lends itself a little better to staying on those field in those situations. I also like really what he did through the air, 45 receptions and 605 yards through the air in 2024 is 1.95 yards per route run, which ranked very highly amongst his rookie running back class. I just think this is an offense that has, whether it's some upside that actually gets realized or whether it's upside that in perception, but I think with Jackson Dart waiting in the wings, we heard a lot of positive about Jackson Dart since preseason has started to unfold. And Jamie, our very own, has been extremely high on Jackson Dart all this time, and I'm starting to kind of buy that hype, not just for the play, but just like the attitude, the words. I think there's going to be a sense of excitement for when he becomes that starter. And I think this is an offense that has that step to take. Of course, Malik Neighbors is already there. And I could very easily see Cam Skattebo, the RB1 of the New York Giants, top 50 is a lot to ask for. I was kind of comping his dynasty value almost similar to Rachaad White, who's not very efficient back, but he was that volume sponge who really got it done in fantasy. And Rachaad White peaked at 58th overall. So maybe that's like really kind of the ceiling potential. But I think of a guy drafted or ranked below the top 100, Cam Skattebo has that profile where he could be, 18 carries, 4 targets, all the goal line work week on week. And I could see that being a very profitable bet to take at his current price point.
Jamie, you want to say anything about Skattebo?
You made some great points. Skattebo, I know top 50 is a lot to ask for.
Yeah.
That would even put him higher than a Kyren Williams, like we mentioned earlier. It took me a long time to come around on Skattebo. People were drafting him early second, mid second. I didn't take any shares of him until he reached, I think I got him two or three leagues at 212, and I was happy with it.
That's nice.
Even in best ball, I was kind of scared to take him until maybe the past month, and I like his ADP. I'm actually taking him over Tyrone Tracy because they go pretty much back to back. He does have a very chaotic running style. He didn't have any production in college up until his final year. But like, I know we talked about it before. It was a massive season. You brought up the stats. That's insane. So he does have that type of talent to blow up. But as soon as he does, and people start valuing him that high in the top 50 or right outside of top 50, that's when I'm going to sell.
You're right.
I don't think
Cam
he's going to go
Skattebo,
any higher.
the top 50 dynasty asset, Cam Skattebo will be number 1 on our sell list probably next year.
Well, I mean, heck, that if it hits this year, that's the point, right? Like, I suppose, like, I think he's a better running back than Tyrone Tracy, but just because I think that doesn't mean it's going to be right. But does anyone disagree with that? Does anyone here think Tyrone Tracy is actually better?
No. Nope.
So I guess we're in favor that eventually Skattebo will take over, even if it's not an immediate start to the year. I think if he's that much more talented, Dable's not going to wait till the end of the year. If you know, putting him on the field gets you better carries, like it gets better value from those production or from that usage. Like at a certain point, he's going to want to save his job and put the better back in. So,
and obviously, there's a reason they drafted him. You know, they saw what Tyrone Tracy is. They're like, we can do better. You know, they still have Singletary on the roster. He ain't anything. So I think they're going to give Skattebo all the chances he can to prove himself.
Well, we might talk about Skattebo later, or Singletary later. No, we're not talking about Skattebo. We could talk about Skattebo more if anyone wants to.
No, Kyle, I believe you were the highest on Skattebo in our pre-draft rankings.
Yeah, he was in the top 3 for me, I think, before the draft, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Him and Devin Neal. Devin Neal.
R.I.P.
Devin
Neal
/ Evan Hull / Jermichael Hasty /
Wait, did I miss something? What's RIP about Devin Neal?
Well, it looks like he's
overhype
behind
him, right?
Kendra Miller.
That's another guy I really like, just Kendra Miller. Just guys that I'm way too. You remember how high I was on Evan Hull a couple years ago, Jamie?
Yeah.
Same type of. I feel like it's the same type of thing with Devin Neal. I see him go in the 6th round, and oh no. Well, it couldn't possibly go wrong with Dalton Kincaid, right? Dalton Kincaid, like this. Of course, everything will work out well, and I think you can apply this to, as Jamie will, whatever Bills receiver you want, because all like Josh Allen, incredibly highly valued, and James Cook, especially now that his extension's in play, his value's kind of safe and set. But it feels like whoever emerges as the Bills' wide receiver 1 will come at such a value in Dynasty that pick your lane with any of them. If you're in enough leagues, you can invest into all 3 of them, whether it's Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, or Keon Coleman. But just looking at the possibility with Kincaid, so he's 136th overall on Keep Trade Cup Superflex rankings, puts him at tight end 10. I really do think he can reemerge into the top 5 tight ends in Dynasty, and the I guess the avenue for that is a lot of targets with Josh Allen this year. So I tweeted out my final projections for target share and touchdowns today, and I had Kincaid as my target share leader for the Bills. So I think he's going to be their top target this year. And if that does come true, as long as he catches the ball, which I know that needs to improve, but assuming that does, maybe that's too much of an assumption to make. But if it does, I think that leap is coming not just from the overall standpoint where he could get to the top 50, but we're talking about him right after the Bowers McBride tier, him and Laporta, who's tight end 3. Maybe Jamie would argue Tyler Warren, if he has a breakout rookie year, you could put him up there as well. But I really do think Kincaid can finally live up on that promise. He's earned targets pretty consistently through 2 seasons. I think it's been between 17 and 19% each of the first 2 years. If he can emerge to that 20%, I really do think he has the talent to. He makes that jump. So any thoughts on Dalton Kincaid, guys?
Yeah. Jamie, go ahead.
Okay.
So many thoughts.
Yeah, Jamie, you go ahead.
I'll go first. Yeah, I mean, we all know the talent was there. I remember rookie drafts, he was going late 1st, early 2nd in rookie drafts, and he just hasn't meshed well with Josh Allen. It just seems like they're not on the same page. I think the more they work together, I think they could start, just he come into his own. And as long as it's his third year, right? So he's going to improve. There's no way he gets worse. There's only up. He's only going to go up. So I'm a believer in Kincaid. I don't know if it's going to be this year or the year after, but it does take tight ends a long time. Look at Njoku. It took him 5-6 years just to become in the top 10, top 6. So,
and Njoku wasn't earning targets like Kincaid was. Those first couple years, it was a struggle for him to even get on the field and get.
Yeah, so I think Kincaid's going to put it together. He's going to start, working on his routes, and I think it's going to come together. I believe in it.
Yeah, Rahul, before we continue with Kincaid, here there's a question from Mark Fug. Mark Fullsgang. Hey, look, here's a question. It's from Mark Fullsgang. Sorry. Yes, should I start Pickens or Terry McLaurin while having CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver 1? So, do you go cowboy wide receivers, Lamb and Pickens, or do you break it up with Lamb and McLaurin? Obviously, it's just we're answering this just for week 1. We've got McLaurin playing the Giants, Pickens and Lamb playing the Eagles. What do you guys think about this?
Man, as high as I am on George Pickens for the 2025 season, I still do have to give the advantage here to Terry McLaurin. I know it might be a little bit worrying to start him first game with a very abbreviated preseason, really only 2 weeks in training, but we're excited about the game script potential, but the Eagles are legitimately a good defense. They might not be as good as they were last year, but it's a defense that historically does prevent a lot of they prevent explosive plays, deep plays. Good research for myself as I about to get into some of my start shit decisions. But I think just here with the Lamb already being in the lineup, Lamb has to play. I would just give a bit of an edge to McLaurin over Pickens myself.
Jamie, how are you approaching this one?
For me, it doesn't matter if Lamb's in the lineup or not. I always start the better player. This is tough because I was just working on some projections for week 1, and I have McLaurin 1 spot ahead of George Pickens.
Yeah.
It's so close. But yeah, since you already have Lamb, I guess go with McLaurin, but it is close.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, against the Eagles in a game where they could, really struggle to keep up. I wonder if this is the scenario where you play both Thursday night. This might be the week where you want to play both. Just as you said, Rahul, if there's any time where McLaurin's going to need a ramp up period, it's probably early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for week 1, I'd play Lamb and Pickens, and I think then that leads to the second question of how are you going to approach this for the rest of the season? If you've got Lamb and Pickens on the same team, this is a question you're going to have to ask yourself all year. So I think then it's what type of matchups are you looking for in order to green light playing both? And I feel like a team playing against a team like the Eagles in theory is that type of matchup where they're going to be, I think pretty heavily the underdogs. You expect a ton of passing volumes in those scenarios. So that the heavier they are an underdog, the more likely to play Pickens. Does that logic make sense?
That does. Yeah, completely.
Are you able to make a trade? Maybe trade Pickens for an upgrade at running back, like package your number 2 running back with Pickens and tier up.
Someone has no depth at wide receiver. Can you trade both Pickens and McLaurin to maybe get someone better than either? Someone you have more confidence in starting week to week. Someone who, like that other team is struggling. They've got maybe one good receiver or they've got those 2 good receivers and no other depth. Like they're willing to maybe have McLaurin and Pickens as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and you could upgrade from McLaurin to someone higher than that. That would also be another avenue. But yeah, certainly.
I would look at the team that has Drake London or an AJ Brown and maybe do a trade like that. And then also get back like a lower depth piece just to make up for the value.
Yeah. That's a tough one. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the question, Mark. Continue all through the season if you want. Join us here again every Wednesday on Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. So Rahul, if you want to say anything about Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, just a few things. I mean, you guys both touched on the connection with Josh Allen. Dalton Kincaid actually was third at the tight end position for most uncatchable targets in 2024. And the eye test kind of matches that. Like there are a lot of poor passes from Josh Allen to Kincaid that you would think with time does improve. My biggest concern about Kincaid is just how much he's going to be on the field. Looking at sources, it is anywhere between 57 to 66% snap share. I think probably he missed a few games. He was probably got injured in the middle of the game, so we'll call it 60% snap share in 2024. He only had 43% snap share in 11 personnel, so that's formations with one tight end, and that's just because he's not as good of a blocker as Dawson Knox. Some of the PFF grades that I was looking at had Kincaid pretty high up, but a lot of the commentary anecdotes is that blocking is a huge weakness for Dalton Kincaid, something that he himself has acknowledged like wanting to get stronger to be able to stay on the field in those situations. What is obviously a very run heavy team. I kind of like Dalton Kincaid is like almost competing for snaps with like a Khalil Shakir type. Like and bear with me there, because if he can't get in the field as a starting tight end in 11 personnel, then it's a question like 12 personnel. Do I take the slot wide receiver off the field for Dalton Kincaid, or do I let Khalil Shakir cook? And that's kind of where, is Kincaid a more effective receiver than Shakir? It's yet to be determined. Obviously, the prospect profile is there. I do like the thinking though, Kyle, is like I think 137th overall it's like quite surprising how far he has dropped considering where we were drafting him both in Dynasty as a rookie, Dynasty in his second season, redraft in his second season. There's a lot of value that he could gain. Like, yeah, you're right. Tight end 3 is wide open in Dynasty, and who's to say it wouldn't be Dalton Kincaid? It's the kind of player that I'm going to watch very closely in the first few weeks, and maybe we'll be a little more aggressive when we start to see that snap share go up. Even if he doesn't get the production, if you see that snap share go up, his opportunities go up, try and make an aggressive move. Yeah, exactly. Make that aggressive move early on. I'm not sold on whether it's going to happen, but I definitely see the vision on this call.
So real quick, one thing I heard you say was bad passes from Josh Allen. Was it truly bad passes from Josh Allen or bad route running from Kincaid?
It could be. The stat I looked at was uncatchable targets, which maybe I am misattributing to Josh Allen. He did have like that a very, very notable drop. He had a few drops, but obviously in the playoff game, a pretty bad drop. But it could be a bit of B.
From what I heard is Josh Allen, or I'm sorry, Kincaid wasn't in the place where he was supposed to be during those classes. So it might not be all Josh Allen's fault.
You're right. Yep.
So,
well, yeah, I think it's never just one player's fault. I think they both have to be worked on. If I remember correctly, Kincaid was hurt last year too, right? So could that have hindered him? Like he wasn't running at full speed, so he wasn't getting to where he needed to quick enough because of the injury. Maybe that goes better this year because he's healthier. Dion Wallard, thanks again for joining us through the Facebook a few times. Asked questions. No clue what to do at flex. Didn't mention half PPR or full PPR. So could you just let us know?
Critical.
But just want to shout out Fantasy Dog joining us here again.
My dog.
Fantasy Dog doing puppy. So Fantasy Dog drafting puppy drafts on Underdog. I'm not nearly cool enough to pull that off, but you are, Fantasy Dog. And Mark mentioned just back to the earlier question. Kyron Williams, James Conner at running back already, and Calvin Ridley is available. So this might also be first off, a really shallow league. So to the point of maybe trading wide receiver depth probably doesn't work because if guys like Ridley are available, people that probably don't need to trade for wide receiver depth. So take out what I was saying. Might be tough to trade in this scenario. But yeah, so let's just on the surface just look at this and then we'll get to our bold predictions after this. But again, so Dion mentioning no clue what to do at flex. Tyrone Tracy, Travis Hunter, J.K. Dobbins, Ja'Cory Cross, Merritt, and Austin Eckler.
So I'm taking out Eckler. I'm taking out Mr. Bill. It's between Hunter and Dobbins, and I think we talked about it last night on our show, Rahul. I don't know. I want to start Hunter yet until we see the actual splits. He's going to go for IDP and offense. Assuming this isn't an IDP league, you're not going to get the defensive points while he's playing on defense. So Dobbins is named starter. First game, I would just go with Dobbins.
I'd have to agree, as gross as that sounds, because there's some very fun names that he listed out in the options there, Dion. But I think I would agree with Dobbins, especially in a half PPR. Let us know if it is half PPR, full PPR. Maybe that might lean a little more to the wide receiver side. But assuming just in a vacuum, I probably would agree with Dobbins for week 1.
Oh, and also come over the YouTube. Man, we're at YouTube. You could hop into chat, subscribe, like. It really does help us out a lot.
Man, Jamie with the always dropping the plugs, I guess I'll say, or the information, the key information. I'm sure Joe really loves that. We certainly do, Jamie. I guess for myself, I maybe disagree on the Travis Hunter premise. Unlike most rookies, I'm wondering, is he someone we should be aggressive playing early? Because let's say that he does, as the season goes on, play a lot more defensive snaps. One of the things maybe we're worried about is explosiveness, endurance. If he's playing more, just total playing time on both offense and defense, is he less efficient every time he touches the football? Could his better, more explosive games actually come early in the season before the workload has gotten too much on his shoulders? So I'm almost thinking you've got this like high upside chance with Hunter. I actually want to take the shot on him right away week 1, and let's see. Okay, if I'm wrong week 1, he doesn't get the snaps, I'll quickly pivot. But I know the one league I've got Travis Hunter and Dion, I'm playing in week 1, and I think I would do that here as well, even in half PPR. That would be, again, the format to favor Dobbins. But I think it really does come down to Hunter and Dobbins. I guess the truth is, even with Dobbins, that's scary. Standard Yahoo points league. Standard. Well,
Dobbins.
I mean, if it's the standard, I'm pretty sure the default Yahoo setting is half PPR. So you're just gonna assume it's half PPR. But I guess the problem with me with Dobbins is we don't know what the split is going to be. Yes, he's the starter, but how much is it a split? And I think that's the worry with Ja'Cory Crosby-Barrett and Austin Eckler, for instance. How is Washington going to split between them and Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez? Like, what does that even look like? Who's even active? Tyrone Tracy, he's the starter, but we just talked up Skattebo a lot. So I do think it does come down to Hunter and Dobbins. In theory, Dobbins is also maybe a better play as earlier in the season before RJ Harvey establishes himself. Knowing it's half PPR, I probably do lean Dobbins as well. But I don't know, man. Because if Hunter catches deep, like if it's deep passes from Hunter, he's still fine. And like it'll be not so many receptions, but a lot of yards. Like that, he's hurt less by the half PPR format than full PPR as opposed to other receivers might be. I don't know. Honestly, I think screw it. I'm gonna say Travis Hunter. That'll be my answer. I know the other two have said Dobbins, but really do think at least Dion. I think we're all pretty solid that it should be one of those two, whether it's Travis Hunter or J.K. Dobbins. I wouldn't really consider anyone else. Right, guys? Like those are the top two options. You think, even in half PPR?
I think so for week 1, and just zero in on both the matchups, especially. I think Hunter is going to be involved in the high scoring matchup. It has one of the highest over unders for the week. That's against the Carolina Panthers. Yep, exactly. But then when you look at Dobbins, it's against the Tennessee Titans with the rookie quarterback, one of the best defenses in the NFL. That lends itself to a run-heavy game script from the Broncos. I think maybe if I had to make a final tiebreaker and just, monitor if your opponent or you have any players playing on Thursday, playing on Friday, see where the matchup goes. If it starts to get very even or you're ahead, I'd lean on Dobbins as a more projectable play. If you start to feel like you need like a big upside swing, then lean on Travis Hunter, I would think.
That's very well.
I want to remind you, we do have a Start Sit Show right here at the Fantasy Six Pack every Sunday morning. I think it starts at 2 hours before the game starts.
10:30. 10:30. Almost 3 hours.
11:30 Eastern time. I also go live, so you can switch over and ask me the same question, and then switch back over to Kyle, ask him, and just
And
It'll be
Rahul
fun.
will still be
Well-
asleep at that time on the West Coast.
Yes. So Jason joining us here,
What
asking,
up, my dude?
should I worry about Kaleb Johnson?
Oh.
Yes. Right
We haven't
now,
discussed him yet. Okay, you're saying yes, Jamie. So
it's just because there's word out there that Kenneth Gainwell is going to get a lot of snaps, and you have an already a player that's already in that situation from last year that we already know he's going to get 50% of the snaps. So between Kaleb Johnson being a rookie coming in, what is his split going to be with Gainwell? Does he only get 40% and Gainwell gets 10, 15? We don't know. So I want to see it before I believe it. But as the season goes down, Kaleb Johnson is going to take over that backfield. There's no question, unless he cannot pass protect. And Rodgers will kick him off the field and say, I don't want this guy in the field. But as long as he can pass protect and keep Rodgers off his ass, I think Kaleb Johnson will get that Najee Harris role, which is 50% of the snaps.
yeah, I don't think you can start him right now. I think you really want to see him become the lead back there and get more. When he's the guy that's getting more carries than Jalen Warren, that's when you will begin to have confidence putting him in your lineup. But I wouldn't start him right now.
So let's say, Jason, you have Kaleb on your roster in Dynasty, and someone else has Kenneth Gainwell. Would you give up a 4th-round pick for Kenneth Gainwell?
I don't see why. Because I mean, if they're splitting, I don't really see the point of that. I think why give up a 4th for a player that you're not going to start? Yeah, exactly, right. Like he's saying no, he wouldn't do that. Because what's the point of giving up a pick for a player if you're not going to? Are you starting Kenneth Gainwell
over Kaleb right now? Yes.
Well, I mean, those aren't your only 2 options. You don't have to start either of those 2. I guess that's my point. I'm sure there's enough wide receivers available. It's also not a dynasty league; it's for redraft. So.
Not worried at all in Dynasty. Perhaps even a buy low in Dynasty. I would be a little bit worried, especially if your draft is a couple weeks in the past. If you're probably drafting in the last 2-3 days, maybe you got him at a good enough value. I would be worried.
We can compare Dynasty value. That's maybe a plug for earlier, Rahul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to be fair, in redraft, he's probably not being drafted as a starter. So you just hold him. I don't have any I'm not worried enough about him to just drop him. If I see that he's if Gainwell gets more carries than in week 1, I'm not going to panic and drop him. Because to Jamie's point, I think be patient with Kaleb Johnson and let it play out. Ultimately, when bye weeks start to hit, that's when you maybe need to make those decisions and cut players. And okay, I need to win this week, or I need to pick up a player this week. I can't wait any longer. That's fine. But if Kaleb Johnson doesn't do well week 1, I wouldn't panic drop him. All right, so we talked about Dalton Kincaid. I mean, Rahul, you brought up Khalil Shakir as these potential, if Khalil Shakir gets another 100 targets, he probably moves up in Dynasty Valley. I think people are undervaluing because they think it's maybe the injury is playing into it, but it's just a 1-year thing. But anyone here breaks out for the Bills, it's probably going to be huge. So now we're going to get to our bold predictions segment. We're going to start with a Bills wide receiver. So this prediction is brought to you by Jamie and from goingfor2.com.
Let's talk about Keon Coleman, man. Now I'm going to be honest, man. I've been the biggest Keon Coleman hater since before he was even drafted. Jeff Lambert over at Going for Two, he could vouch for this. He loved this guy last year, and I fought him every single step of the way. But here's what he's actually done so far. In 13 games, Coleman averaged 8.6 fantasy points per game, finishing as the wide receiver 55 in points per game and wide receiver 71 overall because he missed those 4 games. Let's be real. That's not a rookie year that we're going to get excited over, right? Yet, here we are. Dynasty rankings already have him creeping up into the wide receiver 42 area, and that's 117th overall in Superflex rankings. For reference, a guy ranked at wide receiver 42, he usually gives you 10 to 12 points per game. Solid depth, maybe a flex play, but not someone you're confidently starting every week. In redraft, consensus has him at wide receiver 51, and his ADP is right in that area at wide receiver 48. So that's right on par with last year's production if he simply pretty much stays the same. But here's where I go bold. I think Keon Coleman takes a massive leap this year. I'm talking top 24 to that top 30 wide receiver territory, a weekly wide receiver 3 upside, maybe even a low end wide receiver 2 some weeks. So the reason I'm so confident is look at who's throwing him the ball. He's tied to Josh Allen and that cannon of an arm he has. And let's look at the rest of the wide receiver room. Josh Palmer, he's a jag. Elijah Moore hasn't shown much his entire career. And Khalil Shakur, he has that high ankle sprain, and it takes a while for that to heal to be 100% healthy. So let's imagine this. Give Coleman 120 targets. Even if he catches just half of them, that's 60 receptions, about 1,100 yards, and let's give him 8 touchdowns. And that's over a 17-game season. That's 12.8 points per game. That's right in that wide receiver 24 to 28 range. And considering his current draft cost, that's going to be a huge value. And in Dynasty, he's only in year 2. If he breaks out like this, we're talking about him as a top 24, top 30 Dynasty wide receiver heading into next year. So yeah, I want him. Like, I don't know, man. I'm done. I just went from being the biggest Keon Coleman hater in the world to a guy that's calling his breakout. So let's book it.
To your point, the door's open, right? Like, I think the Khalil Shakir high ankle sprain, more than anything else, speaks that, okay, that's a big target earner last year that won't be there. And so even if, slot receiver for Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman on the outside, his absence doesn't change Keon Coleman's role. But every passing play that's out there and Shakir's not out there, that's just more chance that Coleman gets the target.
Yeah. I think, honestly, Jamie, I love this call. He was in contention for the first segment for myself, a player in below 100 that could jump up. And I just think that Keon Coleman is the receiver in this group of that currently is in Buffalo. If Coleman hits, he's going to hit big. Khalil Shakir had a pretty decent season, but I think if you look at him in points per game, he's probably in like the wide receiver 30s. Maybe Kyle, you could. I don't know if you have that.
I thought he was inside the top 30, if I remember correctly from last year, but I'll look it up real quick for you.
Yeah, but that's kind of just what I see as Khalil Shakir's like year in, year out ceiling, as that like kind of low A-dot slot type player. Shakir, surprising yak ability for a player of his size, but I think limited ceiling. I think Coleman is a guy that could hit big if he does hit. I would say really the biggest weakness in the Bills offense last year was their lack of that big, like a premier contested catch, ball winner. And that's what Keon Coleman is all about. This is like a guy who maybe on the little bit on the slower side, but he is an athletic freak. His like jumping, his wingspan, his jumping reach, like he could be that guy for Josh Allen. I think his skill set is a little bit different from what we talked about with Shakir and Kincaid. So I really do love this call, JV.
Also, he was wide receiver 37 last year. So
wide receiver, like even in the best season I could anticipate for Khalil Shakir, like wide receiver 30 is probably what I'd cap him out at. But Keon Coleman like has that profile to have those huge games, explosive plays. He showed some yak ability last year that I really wouldn't count as like one of his calling cards. That could have just been a few, broken plays here or there, but he does have like athletic ability. So I definitely could see like this being a bold prediction that that hits, and even if it's on the basis of like a boom game here, a barely playable game there, he still could conjure his way to I think he had 24 to wide receiver 30 season on points per game.
And I just want to give a shout out to Jeff Lambert because he's going to be proud of me. My boss over at Live.
Yeah, here we go, Jeff. That was for you, right? Hats on, I guess. I suppose I'd say for Jeff Lambert. Hats off as well, but more in the more figurative sense. Literally, this is a pretty nice hat. So Dion mentioned just with the talk of Kaleb Johnson. Should he be worried? Now this is extra context. I can understand why he would be worried if he's got Kaleb in most leagues. Right? I'm thinking, okay, you got Kaleb in a league or two, you just leave him on the bench till it's time. But if you're heavily invested in him, I understand the temptation to just throw him, pick one league and that's the league where I'm going to start him in. Like I would say, Dion, go through the leagues and which of the leagues where you have Kaleb Johnson are you the least deep at running back? You the least likely to have options to play all over him. Maybe pick that as a league. Okay, this is the league where I'm committed to because I just don't have enough other running backs. I'm going to start him here, and you kind of know that. Okay, if he goes off for that boom week and you're not expecting it, you've got that one league where he started, and then as he becomes a more consistent performer, then you can have confidence and start him in multiple leagues. I would try and approach it like that if you could, and really center on the couple of leagues you have him where your running back depth is so bad that I'm going to just be so deep at every other position and be so strong at every other position that Kaleb Johnson represents my RB2, and that's a position where you week to week you're not sure who that starter is going to be. If you don't have anyone better than Kaleb Johnson, you fall back to him. If you luck into a week where someone else emerges, you go with that, and if eventually Kaleb Johnson emerges, then you consistently start him in that league, and you can start considering him in the other league as well. So hope that helps, Dion. I don't know that we necessarily eased your pain, but maybe we, don't panic on it if you don't get the results you want from him. I think is prudent. But we're talking Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman here is mentioned by Jason as part of this team. So Josh Allen, it says JJ. I assumed it was Justin Jefferson. Maybe it's McCarthy, but I'll assume it's Jefferson. Jackson Smith and Jigba, DJ Moore, Keon Coleman. It's a nice, good 4 wide receivers. And Jamie, is that kind of how you view Coleman? You have him as your wide receiver 4. You don't have to start him every week, but if the matchups seem right, I mean, would this be a week you'd want to play him against the Ravens?
The Ravens,
a shootout type performance. Maybe you say, okay, DJ Moore.
I think the Ravens are a beast of a defense, man.
That's true. They have invested pretty strongly. So even if the offense scores a lot of points,
with this stud of a lineup that Jason has, you're not starting Coleman anyway. Now, I'm assuming it's a start 7, start 8. So you're starting Jefferson, JSN, DJ Moore, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's Cooper Kupp there as well. Coleman and Kupp, I guess, are more higher side bench options, and Laporta. So, but in theory, Jamie, this is how you probably want to approach with Keon Coleman, right? Where you don't have to rely on him every week.
Exactly. And then if he does blow up, trade him away for a better running back.
So that's exactly, and I think that's what he's more looking for. Should he try and make a move at running back? Okay, I can see what Jason's saying. With Kaleb Johnson as the RB2 on this team, should he try and get another RB2?
Like I just mentioned, you're getting Coleman at a massive discount right now. Wait until he blows up and gets into that top 30, and then once he hits that top 30 on a weekly basis, that's when you could sell him for a better running back.
So let's say you want to buy a running back now. Coleman's not the one to sell. I'm thinking DJ Moore or DJ Moore is probably the one. You want to sell him right now. If everyone kind of expects him to be the number 1 receiver on the Bears, the downside is if he doesn't hit that, he'll lose value. So I would say, Jason, if you feel like if you need to sell a running back or sell a player to get a running back, I would look to DJ Moore.
Yeah, I agree. DJ Moore would be
you try and sell DJ Moore to get. I know it's Kaleb Johnson, so maybe I'm thinking of another rookie, but do you try and sell DJ Moore to get RJ Harvey? And you feel like you can.
No, dude. Why wouldn't you just draft Harvey goes 2-3 rounds later? You're getting DJ Moore in the 4th round.
Fair enough. Okay, so you're thinking higher than that. So let's say.
I mean, just to stay. Chuba Hubbard is a good call. Yeah, but the one, and we talked about this a lot on yesterday's episode, Jamie. The one that maybe I would try to move now before a snap has been taken is Sam Laporta, probably for where you had to draft him in redraft. He's kind of that 6th, 7th round tight end where I really don't think the replacement player fall off from Laporta to whatever tight end. You might need to pick up a Brenton Strange off the waivers or one of those types. A Hunter Henry. Laporta
Or
has the value, yeah.
look for those players. Like if those players are on rosters, like look for the team that has a really late taken. They took a tight end one really late.
Mm-hmm.
Do you make a pivot that way, right? Like sell Laporta to them for a running back. You're right. That actually, Rahul, that might be the way to go about it. If you think you can either trade for a tight end back if there's enough rostered, or if there's tight ends available on the waivers, yeah, you can maybe replace that production.
And then I'll also, after we get off, I'll look at your team because I'm in leagues with him. So I'll pull up all your league mates' teams, and we'll find a trade for you, dude.
And I know Jason said like he's trying to sell Cooper Kupp, but as soon as I mentioned Cooper Kupp's name, you heard the disdain in Jamie's voice. That's probably most of his league mates think that too, right? So
yeah,
he's someone like Coleman that the production has to be there first before there's any trade value. That's why I thought DJ Moore is maybe the one to sell now, where people I think have high enough expectations of him. People like the Ben Johnson offense, I think, for the Bears. So sell on that hype before it starts. So yeah, Laporta and DJ Moore might be the two. The offense Ben Johnson left in his new offense now. But yes, we'll go to your bold prediction, Rahul. We're staying with wide receiver, going from Keon Coleman to another Super Bowl contender here. The Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver is Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy will finish as a top 12 wide receiver in 2025 fantasy points per game. Hear me out. We all know the fastest man in the NFL is Xavier Worthy. He had a breakout late into his rookie year, played 80% of the snaps for the first time from week 14 onwards, and he played 80% all the way from there through the Super Bowl. In 3 of the 4 remaining games in the regular season over this period that I'm talking about, 80% snaps, he had 16.6 points per game in each of them, or three of 4 of them, 16.6, 19.1, and I missed the last one. I think it was 17. And in those games, he had 11 to 14 opportunities. This is combining targets and rush attempts, which he got a steady stream of rush attempts. Obviously had those 2 big touchdowns in the Super Bowl, but I'm not really counting that performance because there's a lot of garbage time. The interesting thing of Xavier Worthy's 2024 season, just when you think of the prospect, is a lot of that work actually came in short area targets, especially down the stretch. If you look at his yards per catch, they were like 8, 9, 8 in those games. And a lot of that has to perhaps do with Rashee Rice not playing, Travis Kelce being really kept in, Mr. Taylor Swift being kept in cotton wool until the business end of the season. But where I think that Xavier Worthy can really take a step forward, beyond the obvious, Rashee Rice is missing the first 6 games of the season, but I'm expecting a bounce back in Patrick Mahomes' deep completion rate. This is specifically passes over 20-plus yards. In the season leading up to 2023, he had 50, 38, 37, and 41 completions of 20-plus yards. In 2023 and 2024, this slid down to 26 and 27. Respectively. So I expect a big bounce back in those deep completions. This has been talked up a lot by Andy Reid, Mahomes himself. They're very happy with a rookie left tackle they drafted at the end of the first round, but this is a guy that really fell due to injury. So it's a strong prospect profile, not one you'd expect to be there at 31. But I just think this is the kind of guy that has the ability to change, your fantasy matchup in the space of one play. How many of those near miss completions could we have counted from Worthy last year? It certainly as an owner in multiple leagues that didn't really pay off. I watched a lot of them, and they were just like near misses, maybe on Mahomes' end, maybe on Worthy's end, kind of like the Kincaid conversation we had. It's on both of them, but I expect that connection to take a step forward in 2025. And then rounding back to, the kicker, right? No Rashee Rice for the first 6 weeks. Xavier Worthy is going to be like a top 15 receiver, I think, in weekly rankings up until that point, until he proves that he does not merit that kind of ranking. But I am optimistic, definitely to start. And who's to say he can't step into that alpha role? I mean, I would probably, being a betting man, like expect Rashid Rice to lead the team in receptions. But to lead the team in receiving yards, I could still see that being Xavier Worthy, even when Rashid Rice is back. So I think Xavier Worthy has the potential to be a wide receiver one in fantasy football in 2025. And just before I toss to you guys, my draft is about to kick off. And in pure chaotic format, I'm looking at the ADP in one QB. There's no Superflex ADP, so I think there's going to be a lot of confusion going on. But
I mean, here's the thing with quarterback ADP is kind of almost useless regardless, right? Because your quarterback list doesn't change from Superflex to one QB. And where you're like really what you should be drafted, like your quarterback approach in one QB and Superflex should be exactly the same. You know what tiers you want at quarterback.
Yeah.
Wherever your league is drafting quarterbacks, that's where you go. So in Superflex, those tiers are they're going to be a few rounds ahead. So you adjust to those tiers. But really, like to me, I find my approach in Superflex and one QB really isn't that different. So you know QBs are going to go earlier. That's all.
I mean, I just saw 5 QBs go in the first 5 picks, so I think it was just me who was.
Well, and now the early not going QB very early you might get some unreally great players. Like how good
I'll keep you all posted.
But Dion's benching, so it looks like a lot of those leagues with Kaleb Johnson, a great compliment is Nick Chubb. That's someone who's probably going to get a lot of starts early and late in the season. He might be completely useless if Mixon's back with him. So he's saying, Dion's saying, I'm glad I picked up Chubb. Seeing Mixon possibly not playing this year, they'll evaluate him after week 4. See where he's at once he's on the PUP list, so he has to miss the first 4 weeks anyway. But yeah, Chubb is great to start. I'd much rather play Nick Chubb right now than Kaleb Johnson, and then ease Kaleb Johnson into the lineup as Joe Mixon's coming back. That's when you start playing.
Okay, so Rahul, you mentioned those deep targets.
Mm-hmm.
You expect those to increase. He only got 1 deep target per game on average, 17 total. Not much. He's only getting a 17% target share. I expect that to go up to at least 23. And you mentioned Rashid Rice being out those 6 games. Well, guess what? Rashid Rice was out almost the whole season last year. He only played 4 games. So you got to look at it like that. Like I do see him taking a step forward. Top 12, that's a little risky for me. I think with Mahomes being a game manager, taking those deep shots, running the ball here and there, and not even giving 100 targets to Worthy last year. Like I could see 120 this year, which is a step up, but it's in that, I don't know, what did he finish last year? You said a wide receiver 30-ish?
Yeah, I want to say like, I'll look it up on the side.
So I could see him stepping up to that 24-ish. I just can't get behind top 12. That's too bold for me. I just don't see it happen. If the only reason he does hit top 12 is there's going to be a bunch of guys that take a huge step back within that 12 to 24 range. And that's the only reason to see him.
Sorry, but he was in points per game in full PPR last year. Xavier Worthy was wide receiver 45. So to your point, JB, like there is a lot of room to move up. Like where he could fail to hit top 12, but still have a big step up for the season. I will say to defend Rahul, like, okay, Rice wasn't there for most of the year, but to a certain extent, neither was Worthy. Like they really didn't use him much as a receiver and running routes until late in the season. So his full season usage looked bad. If you, let's say, just split the season in half, that second half probably looks a lot better. So, but I wonder, like you mentioned him being a game manager, I wonder if as long as Travis Kelce's there, we're not going to get the classic 50 touchdown Mahomes. Like that's in order for to go back to that, he needs to not have to be like relying on Kelce constantly. So I feel like just Kelce being there. I mean, that was my target share projection leader for the Chiefs this year is Travis Kelce. So I still project him to lead this team in targets. I think that's also maybe what holds me back is Kelce's presence. But I think if it's Worthy and Rice, those two can kind of coexist and both be top 20. And if it's a monster Mahomes year, they could both be top 12 on any given season. But I think as long as Kelsey's there, it kind of just caps everyone's upside, including Mahomes, frankly.
No, I completely hear you guys. Like, to address Jamie, what you said about Mahomes being game manager, that is what we've seen from him the last couple of years, and that's where it does need to change a bit. It needs to be Mahomes a bit. It needs to be the defense taking a step back. Its defense is not very defensive strength is not very sticky year to year. Can't remember the court. L'Jarius Sneed, that might have been the year before.
It's
but
McDuffie there.
Yeah. I just kind of I maybe expect, maybe hope for the sake of entertainment that the Chiefs are going to be a lot more exciting. And I think if we get that deep ball connection coming back, if we kind of go back to where he's completing, 40 passes, 20 plus yards down the field, that's where Worthy's upside could really be unlocked.
All right, so my bold prediction now. So I'm going with someone that was mentioned earlier in the year. I think very first episode, number one player at each position. And I stated Jayden Daniels, my number one QB in Dynasty. And so my bold prediction that he will actualize that this year, and Jayden Daniels will finish as the QB1 in fantasy football. Talk about sophomore slumps, but I still think Jayden Daniels' best comparison for a quarterback right now in the NFL is Lamar Jackson. And in year 2, Lamar Jackson exploded. A 9% touchdown rate. I think at that point, broke the NFL record for rushing yards in a season. Won the NFL MVP. But most importantly for us, because we don't really care about the NFL, for fantasy football, he was the QB1 then. So I think we've seen Lamar do it. I think Jayden Daniels could follow that same type of path. And it's 5.2% touchdown rate was a lot higher than Lamar was as a rookie. Like Jayden as a rookie was much better than what Lamar was. Lamar was a safe floor quarterback. The rushing yards were there, but he really wasn't a touchdown producer that half a season as a rookie. Not like Jayden Daniels was. So he's already starting at a better passing platform than Lamar does. So for him to have that explosive touchdown season seems more likely than when Lamar did it from going from year 1 to year 2. So with that in mind, I think it's totally within the realm of possibility for Jayden Daniels to be QB1. In fact, I would say if it's not Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, I think Jayden Daniels is the likeliest to finish as QB1. And I would be shocked if it's not one of those three as QB1 in 2025.
Yeah. Hey, I love it. Kyle, I even would dare say this is not a bold prediction, really. Like this is QB1 is very much in Jayden Daniels' range of outcomes. I would say weapons upgrade with Deebo Samuel compared to, no disrespect, De'Ami Brown, Noah Brown. Noah Brown still might be on the team. Olamide Zaccheaus, like they were thrown to some, Jags, just a guy, not Jacksonville Jaguars, though De'Ami Brown is a Jaguar. But I completely see this in the range of outcomes. I think we know he's a very effective scrambler. Can he, get to where Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are in rushing touchdowns year on year? I think Allen 15 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts also hit that number. That's maybe a bit of a stretch because it's not going to be Jayden Daniels not a tush-push quarterback with his build. But on the basis of everything else, I think QB1 definitely could be a possibility this year. I think QB1 to QB4, Allen, Lamar, Daniels, and Hurts all have that in their range of outcomes, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the sophomore QB that does it.
I think you're muted, Jamie. You're still muted, Jamie. Stunned silence. He has to clearly say he totally agrees with Kyle. Everything Kyle said was correct, and Jayden Daniels will finish as the QB1. Sorry, I can.
Okay, sorry, my computer's messing up. It's been glitching. I was saying you are 100% right because you're a genius and you know everything that's going to happen, and I agree with you almost 100% of the time. This isn't a bold prediction. This is 100% prediction that's going to happen. I can see
100% that he's going to be in the QB1. Like this is if he's QB2, this fails. Like he has to be the QB1 this year.
QB1, man, with his rushing upside, the addition to Deebo and getting rid of their running back 1 on the roster, it's going to happen, dude.
Because there was things last year, like they threw 0 touchdowns to running back last Like Jayden Daniels had 0, like Eckler had 0 receiving touchdowns. Robinson, McNichols, the whole lot. None of them caught a pass from Daniels. And, if he has an explosive 35, 40 touchdown season, they certainly will catch them. So, all right, well, yeah, I guess. Sorry, I guess I didn't go bold enough. But again, he has to be like, it wasn't just a range. Like he has to be number one for this to actually pay off. But it's recorded. We'll clip it. The last thing we were going to talk about was actually a rookie draft that Rahul, you had done recently. I'm having trouble pulling it up right now, but from what I remember, I wanted to go through like quick things. I wanted to share it and show the audience, but won't be able to do that. But I guess my first question for Rahul, because Jamie, I don't know if you noticed this, for a super flex rookie draft, how late the quarterbacks went. I think Cam Ward was like the 110, if I'm not mistaken, and then Jackson Dart fell to the second round. So like those were surprising to me. And I wonder, is that because the draft is so late, or Rahul, like, do people normally just devalue quarterbacks in this league, or everyone's so set at quarterback that they forego the rookies? Like, what was your take on seeing the quarterbacks fall so far?
Yeah.
Super
so
flex.
actually, not a league that I'm in. It's a league of a good group of friends. They did a live draft actually for their 5-year league anniversary, and for whatever reason did it at the end of August rather than mid-May like the rest of us sickos. But I think Cam Ward, certainly a surprising fall. And I was talking to the guys like in this league, there was someone who was expecting to take him. Like I could even take him at 103. I could take him at 105. And then when he fell finally to 109, there were a few trades that happened just in that span of 1 to 2 picks to get the pick for Cam Ward and then flip off the pick from Cam Ward. So I think that was definitely a surprise, but
people were playing chicken. They knew they wanted Ward, but like, see if, get the non quarterback. But quickly, those trades were, I'm seeing here, Trevor Lawrence and Jordan Addison. So someone saw Ward fall to 109 and gave up both those assets to get the 109 in a second, but then immediately flipped the pick for the 111 and 26 first. But they also banked that 26 second. So they saw an opportunity in the draft to turn Trevor Lawrence and Addison into the 111 and a 26 first and a 26 second. So they got 3 assets out of that. RJ Harvey ended up being the pick. So the one team, that they gave up a chance that their future first and the 111 to get Cam Ward. And I guess that was what we were going to talk about, was at what point do you see these players fall and you give up those future first to get them?
Which I think
clearly
speaks,
people.
Yeah. So sorry, Kyle, to cut you off, but I think that at least even if he fell to the 109, that still speaks to the value at which that quarterback is held, that someone was willing to move up just 2 spots at the expense of a first to get Cam Ward. So I think that was definitely a shock. Draft board not coming up on the side. Sorry, guys. I just saw Deebo Samuel go at 30th overall in this draft, and
I noticed. There's the veterans as well, right? Like the veterans are available.
You win.
Oh, sorry. Are you talking about the redraft league, or
no? In the redraft league that I'm drafting it,
okay.
I just saw that pop up in the little chat. I was like, what?
Hey, good. I mean, I like Deebo, but yeah, definitely not that much. No, because I noticed one thing I noticed too is that like Joe Flacco was in this rookie draft. So if there was vets available as free agents, they could be drafted as well.
Correct.
But I guess the fact that Flacco was a free agent shows that maybe there's a bit of quarterback devaluing. Dart falling to the second, 203, and I guess Colston Loveland also falling. Those were the 2 things that stood out to me, was that Colston Loveland and Jackson Dart, super flex rookie draft. Neither were first round picks. They both fell to the second. That was pretty surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another just interesting one, just sign of the times. Mr. Bill himself went to the 205, which feels fair enough. As I think one general statement I would make about this rookie class is that second round NFL drafted wide receiver has not really gotten too much positive buzz as we've gone like further and further away. The Higgins, the Burden, even like a Kyle Williams for the 3rd round pick, not really in line to start the season. And maybe that kind of explains Trey Harris. Maybe that kind of explains where Bill has gone. It's kind of the shenanigans you get when you do an August draft, huh?
So Jamie, I don't know. We can't check the draft now for some reason. It's not popping up. But did you review the rookie draft at all?
The one that you posted? No, I didn't see it.
Okay, never mind. So just to talk about like the 202 being Colston Loveland and the 203 being Jackson Dart. Both picks were traded for. So in both instances, someone gave up their 26th first to get these second round picks, but they spent them on players that I think we all agree should have been first round picks.
Yeah, 100% first round picks.
So like Dart was straight up given straight up just a 26 first for Jackson Dart. You see the 203 that Dart's available there, no hesitation.
I don't know if I would give up a 26 first for Jackson Dart, because there's going to be 4 to 5 quarterbacks next year in that class that are going to be going in the first round. Speculative.
That's almost half the first round, right? In theory of Dynasty.
Yeah. So there's going to be other positions that fall that could end up being a top receiver, top running back. I don't know. It's too early to tell, but Jackson Dart, 100%. I think he should be a first round pick. Ward in the second round, yeah.
But Ward was the 109.
Yeah, I feel Ward should go after Dart.
Yeah. Rahul, did you want to say anything before we get to the Loveland trade?
No, I think just a lot of interesting things that you see as you draft in August compared to.
Oh, one thing, actually, I remember looking. Okay, so Flacco was a mid-third round pick, and Shedeur Sanders went earlier in the third. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, but like I'm taking Flacco ahead of Sanders in that case. Like I want the quarterback starting.
Yeah.
Give me the opportunity. Like I remember looking like I'd probably take Flacco to 301 in that league. I remember looking through like that was maybe where it got to the point where I think I'd probably just take Flacco rather than the rookies. Give me the quarterback who's starting. I don't know if I'm overvaluing Flacco.
Oh wait, you're talking about Flacco versus Sanders?
Yeah, if in this particular rookie draft.
In a rookie draft, Flacco over Sanders. But that's more of a fourth round pick, in my opinion.
Well, again, but both went in the third round. I think if I remember correctly from memory, Sanders was like the 303 and Flacco was like the 307.
That sounds right.
CFL, is this a CFL combo league?
Yeah, that's a little crazy with the information with the information that we have now.
If it's a CFL combo league, I could see Sanders going in the third, because you're going to get a starting quarterback in the CFL 2 years from now.
I mean, why don't even pick him? Like, why are you worried about something 2 years from now? So again, just take Flacco, right? Like, okay, so we're all agreeing on that. But this was the interesting of all the trades that were sent by Rahul that happened during the draft. This was the one that was most interesting to me. So I kind of nominated trade of the week. You guys both approved. So again, this is a 12-team start 10 Superflex PPR league. We've got the 202 and a 27 second on one side, or the 211 and a 26 first. And we can get to the who are these picks as well. The 202 ended up being Colston Loveland, mentioned that he fell. The 211 ultimately ended up being Bashal Tootin. So we got Loveland and a 27 second for Tootin and a 26 first. How are you guys feeling about this trade?
Is this tight end premium or no?
No tight end premium.
If there was tight end premium, I would have put it on the.
I'm going with the first.
So same argument as Jackson Dart, right?
Loveland and a 27 second for Tootin, who could be a top 24 running back in 2 years. And a first on top of that. Give me that all day. So Loveland is a late first round pick, early second round.
In this case, early second, yeah.
So the math to me doesn't add up. Give me that first all day.
It just depends if you're willing to move a first for Loveland. I think that's like the crux of this, because 27 second for the 211, even if you associate Tootin with that, I think that's fair enough. Is Colston Loveland and a non-tight end premium, yes, PPR, but non-tight end premium worth the 26 first, right? And that's where, I think the way I think a lot of us we approach tight ends is once you get past the guys are going to be lineup, difference makers in your lineup every week. they're pretty much the same guy. And Loveland has that pedigree, has a prospect profile. He's going to be a great pass catcher. But what happens if he gets Dalton Kincaid, right? Like, they do have Cole Kmet on this team. They could run a lot of 12 personnel. I thought it was very funny that all their depth charts were released in 12 personnel. I didn't see that from any other NFL team, but I think, yeah, give me the first without knowing if it's late, if it's mid, if it's early. Just I think give me the first here.
Well, and again, like as much as we like to think we know, okay, this team's good, this team isn't. We really don't know when we're giving up future picks. Like it could be for like you might think, okay, this is a heavy contender. But what if they deal with a ton of injuries and that pick would look like, oh, it's for sure late, ends up being mid. So yeah, from that standpoint, like that first could be anything. And I guess that answers the question, the structural question. Like, if these guys are falling in rookie drafts, do you give first-round picks to get them? And maybe the answer is probably not, because the other thing, too, is if Loveland and Dart fell to the second round, clearly this league doesn't value them as much. So if you give up a future first to get them, you might not be able to sell them again for that price, because people have already indicated to you that they don't value them as much and allowed them to fall into the second round. We got a question here from X Tucci. Oh, Marco Tucci. Sorry, I should have read the rest of it. Read before you speak, Kyle. Adams and Olave for AJ Brown. It's a trade. So redraft 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex, PPR. So in a start 8, you're giving up Adams and Olave for AJ Brown. You see, I pretty easily want the Adams side, because my redraft projections just 1 year, Adams and AJ Brown are almost identical. So I really don't think you're gaining much. Now, I don't necessarily have Olave that much higher, and I'm skeptical to wonder in the start 8 if he's even starting. He might be, though. Like that's maybe your 8th starter. Yeah, I think I want Adams and Olave. How you feel, Rahul?
That's tough. I mean, knowing the rest of the squad, could you cover a 2-for-1? Is hard, but and is also like your risk tolerance on Matt Stafford's back, because I think assuming 17 games for Stafford, yeah, the Adams projection is probably very close to AJ Brown. I think start of the offseason, he was like almost my wide receiver 12 or wide receiver 13 for long parts of it until all the bad juju came out. But in a vacuum, yeah, 2 flex. I just feel like Olave is gonna be like, why just like this is a tough one. I think I will agree with you though, Kyle. I'll take the package here. Yeah.
So Jamie, just redraft Adams and Olave on one side for AJ Brown. It's PPR start 8. And the rest of the team is here.
So wait, what was the question?
Adams and Olave or AJ
No,
Brown?
no, you need to add something to AJ Brown. I know AJ Brown's going in second, Adams going in the third, fourth, right? So Olave's going a little bit after that. So just add like a 7th round running back, like
okay, so
running back.
So it looks like Marco currently has AJ Brown. So is this selling AJ Brown? Is this what he should get? Adams and Olave. And it looks like basically he says, I have nobody I could start on my bench right now except like Ollie Gordon and Ramondre Tesla. Bench, like those are like the best bench players. Chase Brown, Travis Etienne, Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, Evan Ingram. So you're already kind of like, even your flex, you're really questioning. So I definitely want to make this trade, because you get 2 starters for the price of 1. And I don't even really think you're losing much from AJ Brown to Adams.
Yeah.
So I think we're all in agreement to make this trade, Marco, get Adams and Olave. And now you get 2 starters to plug into your lineup.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. Like a great way to end the episode. Oh no. Okay, sorry. I was seeing Chase Brown. I was thinking like Chase and Brown. My mistake. Okay. Yeah, no, definitely don't do that. If you're already struggling for a starter, it feels like, don't give up one to get AJ Brown. I think. Yeah, so he that's the rest of the squad without. Okay, so like Adams and Olave, yeah, because the fact that Olave is probably a starter on this, like those are probably your two flexes, or Adams and Olave. Are you giving up both to get one flex? Like, I don't know. I think we're all in agreement to not make this trade. I think content yourself with Adams, because again, like I think Adams and AJ Brown are going to finish pretty close in terms of fantasy points scored this year. All right, well, is that a great way to end the episode? We'll be done before an hour and a half.
That is.
All right, so there we go. We'll do better. We'll try to get under an hour for next week. But yeah, old habits die hard as we approach the NFL season. But just as you're approaching the NFL season, know that fantasy6pack.net, great source for all sorts of great fantasy football content. But if you want even extra, there is the Fantasy Six Pack All Access membership, and our F6P All Access membership promo code for 15% off. A discount on that membership is F6P Pods. I want to just shout out my co-hosts, Jamie and Rahul. You're both fantastic. Rahul's at Small Talk FF. Jamie's at Jamie Perog. I'm at Senra Says. If you guys want to follow us and interact with us, we'll definitely enjoy interacting, answering fantasy football questions. Certainly love doing it on the Dynasty Six Pack, and we'll be back every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern here on the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe. Get the notification bell as well, because there's tons of great content, tons of great shows. The Parlay FF guys, as you saw earlier, before I changed the logo layout. IDP Center, are you Joe's kid? We really look that young. Thank you, IDP Center. I assume that Steve. Yes,
I'm the same age as Joe, so I can't be his kid, dude.
Any final thoughts, guys, before we get out of here?
Brandon Cooks just went at 78th overall.
Yes. One final thought for me. Hold on.
What a random thought.
Let's see this. Juwan Jennings has finally reached agreement on a deal. Breaking news.
Oh, what?
Yes, he added a $3 million incentive to his contract. Let's go.
Huge for the boy. Huge for the boy.
I mean, that's $3 million.
Also,
nothing to talk
if
about.
you guys need lineup decisions every Sunday morning, catch me over at Going for Two. Catch Kyle right here at Fantasy Six Pack. I'll be over at Going for Two with Rahul right here, my co-host for the cheat sheet every Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, right here every Wednesday night on the Fantasy Six Pack.
Yeah, guys, great 27 episode run so far. I expect the next 17 to be even better as we get into the 2025 season. So good luck. Thank you all the viewers for staying with us, and keep tuning in every Wednesday for more actionable fantasy advice. It's a great show, and it's going to be a great season for us all.
So we're going to get off the air as 24 hours before the NFL season kicks off and the season takes off. So thank you all for joining us tonight, and hopefully see you throughout the season here on the Dynasty Six Pack. See you all next week.